Okay, quick modding, simple version 101, very quickly. First, if you've never opened these arrows before, these are kind of a pain in the ass to remove because when the arrow's installed and everything's installed, if you try to lift up like, this or something, then it kind of gets stuck. You want equal force everywhere, so it kind of lifts straight up and down, but that's obviously easier said than done when they're installed like this, so that might be your first hurdle. Your second hurdle is going to be getting the actual panel out. What I personally do is I stick this tool in to this crack and kind of like lift up. But even then, sometimes if you have these corner brackets still installed, like I wouldn't recommend taking out all of them. Just take out these two and loosen these two so that you can lift it. That will save you time. So lift it, remove. And then ignore my setup. I have a specific tape setup because I leave these out, these corner brackets out. But if you're gonna leave them all in, then you're basically just gonna do a very simple mod. Install a screw catch before you unscrew the L bracket, because if they fall in here, it's a huge pain in the ass to get them out from underneath this. And then ignore my tape at the top. Just for now, your very, very simple mod. You want to reduce the surface area, the contact area of this L bracket onto this sensor. So this is a stock L bracket in the Yuancon or in basically any DDR machine. It takes quite a lot of force to get it to activate. But if you reduce the surface area of the contact, then there's more force per unit area on the sensor, and that will increase sensitivity just by itself. So you don't even have to fully install it. You can just kind of touch, and you can see that it's much more sensitive than this one. Okay? And so primarily, this is hypersensitive for the up arrow. You'd probably want to start with maybe bigger squares from like here to the edge or something like that. And then the only other thing you do is if you're gonna keep your corner brackets installed on the inside, then those are also gonna apply force to the panel when you screw it in, pushing down. And you want that force to be enough that it's kind of resting on this a bit, but not so much that when you screw it in, you get an arrow activated just from the force of the screw itself. That means you've added too much tape. So I would just start with maybe a couple layers in this shape. You just want to make sure that it truly is reducing the surface area to these areas. So if you just use like one layer of painter's tape, that's obviously not going to do anything. And then just add more layers. You could do like this, or you could do full strip across the entire thing. It doesn't really matter here if you do this, because the surface area doesn't actually translate to anything different on the sensor. Just for, not really for panel height, but for a pre-applied slight force if you're gonna leave these installed so that you can, hit it with less force required. Try it on one arrow, and I'm serious, like test the living hell out of it and perfect it, because if you're anything like me, you're gonna end up rushing and be like, oh, I think I have a pretty good solution. You're gonna apply it to all 4 arrows, and then you're gonna regret it because it's a huge pain in the ass to have to remod everything, especially because if you want to bracket, or if you really want to get good mods, you're not only gonna do the inner, you're also gonna do like these two, and that like triples your work, obviously. So just be patient and maybe do a little bit of mods like one day at a time or something like that. But yeah, I hope this helps. See ya.